Welcome to Classic Game Room. In 1980, Mattel released the Intellivision, Intelligent Television, to compete against the Atari 2600. In 1983, they released the sequel called the Intellivision II, which is smaller, lacks the attractive wood grain strip on the front, and isn't even compatible with all of the Intellivision games, yet I think it's the superior Intellivision. Let's take a look at the Intellivision II. The Intellivision is a beautiful piece of late 70s design that looks like a piece of furniture which plays video games. It's solid and feels like a brick, but good luck finding one of these in perfect working order these days. That's why I bought the Intellivision II. It's like the Atari 2600 Junior, the newer, cheaper, smaller model. Except you'll pay more for an Intellivision II in the 21st century and beyond, because it works. It actually works. I went through 3 regular Intellivisions, none of which worked properly, eventually gave up and bought the sequel, The Wrath of Intellivision. Intellivision strikes back. Intellivision II Electric Boogaloo of savings, because now I can play all the games I bought while collecting the broken Intellivisions. Except for the ones that say not for use with Intellivision II. Games like Carnival and Donkey Kong don't work with this thing. Apparently, the designers of the Intellivision changed some chips around or whatever and blocked out a lot of third-party developers. Way to go. You've upset me 30 years later. Fortunately, the colorful Intellivision controller overlays put me in a good mood. They put everyone in a good mood. These are really fun and work with Intellivision 1 and Intellivision 2 controllers. Even though this has one of the worst controllers ever created, it has a lot of buttons, and you may find the overlays helpful in learning how to play the games. The Intellivision 1 and Intellivision 2 were designed to do basically the exact same thing, except the Intellivision 2 is lighter and uses an external power supply. It also has detachable controllers. Annoyingly, they dropped the awesome fake wood grain strip from the front of it, but added the feature of actually working, which is nice. The Intellivision 2 definitely has more of an 80s style than that awesome late 70s style, and the feel of the buttons is also slightly different. They're raised more on the older controller. Like the original, you insert the game cartridge into the side of the unit, not past that line, or bad things happen. However, I should mention it does not work with the Intellivision's voice synthesizer module and games like these. Now, why buy an Intellivision or Intellivision 2 at all? Well, there's a lot of great games available for it, many of which are better than the Atari 2600 versions of the same game. Games like Lock and Chase and Burger Time. The Intellivision blows the Atari 2600 away. With better graphics and better sound, but a far less better controller. One might call it worse. I like the game selection on the Intellivision, but like the Atari 5200, a lot of these games are compromised by a questionable controller design. And even though the Intellivision controller feels like the ColecoVision controller, I wasn't able to swap this thing out with an Atari 7800 gamepad. So, like the 5200, you're just stuck using it. And if you grew up with one of these things, you probably won't care. I mean, you might care, but you won't admit it. It's the Intellivision, Intelligent Television. Lots of games, relatively affordable. How does this thing compare to the Atari 2600, Atari 5200, or ColecoVision? Well, as an Atari fanboy, I've got to tell you there's more games and controllers available for the Atari 2600 that make it a joy to collect for. Only crazy people collect for the Atari 5200, and the ColecoVision blows them all away. Keep in mind that I collect for the Atari 5200. Maybe it's time to join the Intellivision Game Club now that I own an Intellivision 2. I've got to cut that thing out and mail it in with $1.50. Hopefully I get a patch or something, maybe a headband.